record. Morning in progress. Right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to November's coffee morning. So, little fact, everybody will know this, I'm sure, but I'm going to go with it anyway. So, Remembrance Day was first observed on the 11th of November 1919 and was originally called Armistice Day to commemorate armistice agreement that ended the First World War on Monday, November the 11th, 1918 at 11 a.m. on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Some of the 54 Commonwealth member states, such as the UK, Canada and Australia, all observe the tradition of Remembrance Day on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Other nations observe a solemn day, but at different dates. For example, Anzac Day is observed in New Zealand on April the 25th in South Africa. Poppy Day is marked on the Sunday that falls closest to November the 11th, a little bit like ours. Nations that are not members of the Commonwealth also observe Remembrance Day on November the 11th, including France, Belgium and Poland. The red poppy comes from the poem In Flanders Fields, written by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae after the First World War, and is now widely recognised as the remembrance flower due to them growing on the fields in Flanders. Some of you may remember in September 2021, some of us did a bike ride from the IAB offices in Kent to the Lichfield War Memorial, totalling 180 miles with 5,000 feet of climb. We raised just over £10,000 for the Normandy Memorial Trust, which was set up by George Batts, MBE. And I'm going to go over to Sam now to talk a little bit about George Batts. Morning, Sam.
Morning, Caroline. Thank you for that. It was just to give you all an update, actually, that Sarah was at the Churchill War Rooms last Thursday with the Normandy Trust. And she was there really to launch the roadmap for the education centre, which was the reason for the charity bike ride. So they're now in a position where they've got, actual physical plans, and this is happening. And she obviously can't be here today, but she wanted to say a big thank you to everyone that was involved in raising money for the Memorial Trust, because the money that the IAB raised really helped to tip it over the edge and make it a reality. And also, just to say, not to put a somber note on things, but you may have seen across our social channels that unfortunately, although George did realise that the education centre was going to be a reality, a few weeks ago he sadly passed away peacefully, but at least he did know that it was going to be something, his dream was actually going to be achieved. But it's great to know that it is actually happening in his memory. So we hopefully will have some time. We've got 3 speakers today, which Caroline will tell you about, but we've got a short video, a tribute video to George, which we'll play at the end, as it's really kind of fitting to the work that he did. So back to you, Caroline.
Thank you for that, Sam. So moving swiftly on, this morning we've got Rob Sinclair from Easy R&D, who is a member benefit, and he will be bringing us up to date with the latest news from the world of R&D to see if we can unlock tax credits for your clients and guide you through the new member benefit landing page. Morning, Rob. Are you about?
Morning.
You are excellent. Do you want to share your screen, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah. There. Try that. You should be able to share.
Okay. So I'm first up. Can you see that?
No, I'm just seeing you at the moment with your festive decoration. A little bit early for me, but we'll go with it.
Okay. What would you like me to do, and how is the best to do this? Because I'm looking at the presentation on.
There should be, on your Zoom screen, Rob, there should be a green share screen button.
Yeah, I've
Press
got that. Sorry. Yes, I pressed it, but it. There we go. Okay. And then share again.
Yeah.
That should work, hopefully.
There we go.
Yes.
And then you just need to put it in presentation mode and you're good to go.
How are we there?
Excellent.
That's it.
Okay, excellent. Well, hello everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and Easy R&D, I can tell, as a company, are very happy to be involved with IAB. For those who don't know, I lead the partnership side of the business, and I've been involved with accountants and bookkeepers for over 5 years now. As so, in terms of background, a lot of people have known me over the years. This morning, I just want to give a brief overview of who we are, basically what we offer you as members and partners, what we offer your clients, how we work, and then visit the landing page and the member benefits we have to offer. We've got so much information available in terms of educational and informative, in terms of R&D tax credits and HMRC updates, which we're going to be launching all the time and offering up, to the IAB. It's a host of it, and I could be here for weeks. So it's an overview today, and hopefully that will set the good basis of the relationship. And going forward, we're more than happy to provide anything needed. Okay, first one, why easy? Well, it's a specialist area of life, R&D tax credits, tax relief. It's the only thing we do. I know I'm talking about, we are specialists in the tax consultancy. We've got ex-HMRC, fraud investigation, senior tax, head of tax. It's a very specialist, very demanding area, and really needs to be covered by specialists, as you'll notice as we go through. Relevance as well in terms of backgrounds. Lots of our partners, our consultants, are from engineering, manufacturing, scientific backgrounds, software, which is very relevant when coming together and putting together the technical reports and the claims. Mentioned we're supported by HMRC inspectors, Big Four accountants. We importantly here, which it doesn't apply very often, we have a seat on HMRC's R&D consultative committee, and have done for many years. So that enables us to be at the forefront in terms of hearing what R&D remit has changed from HMRC, what they're really looking for, what they're unhappy with, and how things have changed. Over the 20 years it's been going, you can imagine it's changed considerably, and staying up to date with that is very important. In terms of myself, effectively, just briefly, any potential clients I would speak to initially, and then the appropriate consultant would be allocated. We work nationally. In terms of the partnerships, what we offer, we can look at the client portfolios, so we're happy to discuss all of the clients that you have. Training in terms of identifying potential candidates, support in terms of informing and educating clients about R&D, webinars, seminars, articles, a host of articles, HMRC type information, updates, case studies, testimonials, monthly newsletters with advice. And in January 23, I've just had confirmed yesterday as well, there's going to be a portal which you'll have access to be able to monitor the progress of any clients we're working with and where they are in regards to their claim and the process. So that's going to be a great thing for 2023. How we work with your clients, very straightforward. You can be involved absolutely every step of the way if needed. Typically that doesn't happen. You would be kept in touch, and we would liaise when necessary, but essentially, as we mentioned here, 3 or 4 hours with your client per project. We establish, initially it would be myself, whether or not there's a claim to be made, and then the appropriate consultant will be allocated, and then a discussion takes place examining the potential qualifying and eligible activities for a claim. We put together a robust technological case for a claim, very important nowadays increasingly, with HMRC being very, very keen that claims are robust and included and are very, very well put together. It's becoming increasingly important. Create a good claim, HMRC pays you and you receive a fee from ourselves. I know I'm rattling along, but member benefits, I'll come to the actual screen prints of it, but essentially for all levels of IAB membership, associates, members and fellows, receive a referral fee of 20% of the fee that we receive from dealing with the client for the first claim. Our first claim, so people know, is usually for 2 years. Beyond that, every year that a client remains with us, there's a 10% of our fee paid year on year. IAB members and fellows who process successful claims, you have the opportunity to be involved in the Easy R&D website and quarterly newsletter. We're very excited about that, being able to involve real life IAB case studies, testimonials, interviews, both on the quarterly newsletter and on the website. So that can be very useful for everybody. And the fellows actually will have the extra benefit of, we do many corporate affairs through the year, and working with the IAB, there will be a selection of IAB fellows invited to partake in a hospitality event in the calendar year. We've got a number of marketing tools on the landing page, which I'll visit briefly, but it's worth mentioning that we are constantly developing, and it is literally almost weekly. Lots of information to be shared on LinkedIn, social media, lots of information to be sent out in emailing to inform clients, website updates, testimonials, training. There's a host of things constantly being worked on. Again, briefly, if you go onto the membership member benefits, you'll see us now. We're there, very proud to be there. This is the landing page, and we've just discussed briefly what the landing page includes, but it does mention here about the 20% fees, etc., and the involvement in the newsletters and so on, and contact details, either myself directly or entering the message boxes and sending it direct to the company. A sample on the same page, on the landing page at the bottom, there are some of the marketing tools which are available, which we're very happy to provide. One of them, such as this, is an explainer video. It's a little simple cartoon type video, but quite nice to be able to send out to clients. Again, can help educate and just inform in a nice, easy way. A lot of people want to know, do I qualify? What would I get? This type of thing. So we've got a digital tax credit calculator as well on the landing page, which you can have a little look through, play with that, and get a feel for the type of thing that's possible. This is an example of what is often sent out as an email to clients, just asking people to have a little look through some basic 6 questions, and essentially if there's an answer yes to 3 of those, then it's potentially worth looking further and having a discussion with us. Very almost sounds a bit grim at the end of this point, but it's very serious last year with HMRC, because they've had so many problems with people from abroad setting up companies in the UK and making fraudulent claims, that they've increased their activities in terms of random scattergun checking of claims across the UK, which is all well and good, and hopefully that will remove the fraudulent activities. Worth mentioning that if any client gets approached about their claim, then prevention from ourselves is included within all our claims. So we would act because we have 100% success and 100% confident with every claim, that any activities your client's not having to spend time, money and effort defending a claim, we do that for people. Increasingly important in these days with HMRC. Very quick, very brief. As I say, there's an awful lot of information coming over the months and hopefully years ongoing. But if I could, yeah, there we go. If I could just ask if there are any initial questions.
Thank you, Rob. That was very informative. Has anybody got any questions? Everybody's gone really quiet.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Nothing at all.
Well, we're open, as I say, we're open to questions at any time. Anyway,
yeah. If any
anyhow,
come up in the chat, Rob, I'll come back to you later if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely, super.
At the moment,
Super.
There's nothing in the chat, so thank you very much, Rob.
No, okay,
Very
thank you.
informative.
Thank you.
And next, we're going to move swiftly this morning on to Tom Gubbins from Octopus Electrical Vehicles. And Tom's going to be talking about the salary sacrifice, a topic that has been requested via the ambassador groups, which I'm also very interested in. So, good morning, Tom.
Morning.
Can't see you.
I'll share my screen.
Yeah. There, and it's up. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom from Octopus Electric Vehicles, and I work in the salary sacrifice team. So Octopus Electric Vehicles is it's a subsidiary of Octopus Energy. So we're not just linked by a name, by coincidence. We are actually directly linked to Octopus Energy. And it was born out of the CEO from Octopus Energy wanting to make it as easy as possible for people to get into electric vehicles, because electric vehicles are expensive. There's no way around it. So this is a way for employers to allow their employees to get into vehicles via salary sacrifice. Now, just to have a quick recap on what salary sacrifice is. Salary sacrifice is a way for someone to be able to pay for something, in this case, an electric car, from their gross salary. So that's before they pay tax and national insurance. So we use a very basic example just to try and keep the figures as simple as possible. If a car is £500 a month for a lease, that would be £6,000 a year. Ordinarily, someone in a 20% tax rate bracket would be paying £1,200 a year. If you're in the 40% tax rate bracket, you pay £2,400 a year on that portion of your salary. If you're swapping that for an electric car via salary sacrifice, that'll be completely tax exempt. You will not pay any tax on that portion of your salary. The reason you're allowed to do this, the government are heavily encouraging people into electric vehicles. There's very few things you can salary sacrifice, and electric cars is one of them. So salary sacrifice has been around for a short while, but it's been quite difficult for people to get into, or they found it quite difficult to administer. So we've stepped in and we said, we'll manage the whole process for you. You set up an account with Octopus, and that gives your employees access to be able to get into electric vehicles. So what's included in the monthly lease payment for employees if they take a car through Octopus Electric Vehicles? When you get a car through Octopus, it includes everything you need to keep the car on the road except for the cost of charging. So fully comprehensive insurance. That insurance will be salary sacrificed as well, making you a saving on your insurance. You can also add on an extra 2 named drivers onto that. So if you want to use that car as a family car, that's absolutely no problem at all. Servicing and maintenance are included. If there's any work that needs to be done on that car, that's included. You don't need to be paying for anything and then having to claim it back. Breakdown cover, tyres. We say 5-star customer support because if you go on our Trustpilot, we've got a 4.9 Trustpilot rating, so we like to brag about that. So please check that out. And then also as well, being a part of the Octopus Group, we are able to supply a free home charger and installation for everyone who gets a car through Octopus. So it's no good having an electric car if you can't charge it. So we're able to help with the whole package on that side of things. We're also able to help with the energy supply. We're aware that obviously energy prices are going up, the same as fuel and diesel and petrol are going up. Energy prices have risen, but there are several different providers, not just Octopus, that can do special tariffs for electric vehicle drivers at the moment. So Octopus have 2 different tariffs where you've got cheaper overnight rates, which typically start at about midnight and go until 6 in the morning. Now, that doesn't mean you have to get up at midnight to plug your car in, because most of these cars will have timers on. The chargers certainly have timers on. So for me today, working from home, my car's plugged in at the moment, but it won't start charging until midnight because I've got the timer set, so it won't kick in until the cheaper rate. Those cheaper rates will vary from tariff to tariff, but they can be about 10p per kilowatt, which compared to daytime rates at the moment is extremely cheap. So that works out to maybe about 3p a mile, something like that, when you're charging your car overnight. Now, a big part of these schemes, a lot of companies in the past have had sort of company car schemes or business contracts hire cars. And the biggest issue for a lot of companies is, well, if an employee leaves, they're stuck with the car and they're having to pay off the remainder of the lease. So with Octopus Electric Vehicles, there is an early termination protection included for you as a business and also for the employee. So this is a really important part of the scheme. So employees get the option of a 2, 3 or 4 year lease. Let's say someone takes a 4 year lease. They've got every intention of the world of staying with the business. However, things change. They might be offered a job they can't refuse. They might move across the country to another job. If they're to leave partway through the lease, they're not going to be charged an early termination fee. If they leave the lease because they leave the company, not just because they don't want the car, if they leave the lease because they leave the company, they will not be charged an early termination fee. And you as a company are certainly not stuck with the car having to pay off the remainder of the lease. This is what typically has happened with kind of older company car schemes, if you like. So as you can see on the screen, that covers any reason you can think of, whether you have to dismiss them, whether they resign, redundancy. And we also have things for sick leave and maternity leave. So with sick leave and maternity leave, the cover is really extensive. You will be covered for a certain period of time where Octopus will actually cover the payments whilst the employee is on statutory pay for either sick leave or maternity, or we do have the option to just hand back the car. So really strong protection on that side of things. The hot topic at the moment as well is availability of vehicles. It is very difficult to get hold of cars. However, Octopus being the actual leaser and not a broker, that means we own the cars, have got a better supply than most providers out there at the moment. So whilst we might have to wait ourselves a long time for the cars, we're constantly pre-ordering them well in advance. So for you as an end user, don't have to wait anywhere near as long. So the cars that we have available today, if I use some of the Volkswagens as an example, we've got some Volkswagens. If you go to Volkswagen, you have to wait 10 months for a lot of those Volkswagens. We've had to wait 10 months as well, but we've ordered them 10 months ago. So they've arrived to us today. The cars that are coming to us next month, we've also had to wait maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. But we've got this constant supply of cars coming in. So considering how difficult the market is, we're doing very well considering. I've already mentioned about the home charger. Some people, if they live in a flat, for example, and they don't have a parking space, they might not be able to have a home charger, so we can supply a what we call the electric universe card. It's a public charging network card. We would load 4,000 free miles onto that, and that will be to use out about on public charging networks. So if you can't have a home charger, we can supply you with a public charging network card instead. Completely free to join for companies. I think I already mentioned that. It says get going in as little as 2 weeks. In reality, it's probably closer to 4 weeks for most companies, but it can be done in as quick as 2 weeks. The most important thing, companies think it's going to cost them somewhere down the line. This scheme, you can say with great confidence, does not cost you anything as a business to have running. This is completely an employee benefit, which will not cost you as a company anything. Now, it is very heavily supposed to be an employee benefit. It does benefit you as an employer because it will help with your benefits package. It can help with recruitment and retention, and you can also make savings on national insurance as well, because if an employee is lowering their salary through salary sacrifice, you as an employer will make a saving via NI. These are some of the companies we work with. I've lost track of how many companies we've got on the books now. It's thousands as opposed to hundreds. We're signing up, I think, about 300 to 400 a month, something like that. And that's everything from two-man bands, you know, who might be a couple of brothers who are solicitors, all the way through to some of these big names on here: Nando's, Co-op, Purple Bricks, McLaren, I think Dyson Technology. All the time, people are joining every day. So size of company is not an issue for Octopus, but everyone does have to pass a credit check first as a business, not an individual, to be able to join the scheme. So that's the only thing that companies have to be aware of, because some of the newer companies, if they're only 1 or 2 years old, might not have the credit history to be able to go through the credit checks. Other than that, size of companies, not a problem. You could be a one-man band all the way through to thousands of employees. And that's the end of the presentation. Any questions?
I've got a couple, and there's one in the chat. But first, I just want to go back to Rob and say, Eva said, I'm quiet because it was interesting and she was making notes. So thank you, Eva, and thank you, Rob. And Sam replied to that, saying, that's great. Glad it was useful. It's worthwhile visiting the new landing page in the member benefits area to play around with the tools and watch the video. You can, of course, speak to Rob. And then question for you now, Tom. And this has come from Christine. Can the self-employed join the scheme? And if so, how does that work? Thank you.
So you do need to be employed to actually as opposed to self-employed. Now, you can do it as a self-employed, but it depends on how you pay yourself. So it's not that you can't do it, but you might not benefit because the payments have to be taken from your PAYE. So if you're self-employed and you're paying yourself heavily dividends, and say like a PAYE salary of £12,000, somewhere around that under the tax-free allowance, you won't make any further tax savings because you're already very tax efficient and you're paying yourself the best way possible. So it's not that you can't do it, but it will depend on how exactly you pay yourself, because the savings are taken from your tax on your PAYE. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. Could you supply a car to a sole trader then?
You can be a sole trader. Yes, it is the answer. But again, it just depends on, it's not that we can't give the car to someone who's a sole trader, but it will depend if they're going to make a saving through salary sacrifice, depending on how they pay themselves. If they've got a PAYE, great, they'll make a saving. Other than that, we can supply the car, but they might not make the same savings as someone on PAYE.
No, because that saving would come from the tax return, wouldn't it?
Yeah, correct.
And using capital allowances rather than a salary sacrifice. Okay, thank you. Joe's asked, are company directors able to join in the same stroke similar way?
Again, yes, that's the same thing. Directors, yes, absolutely eligible, but the main thing, I can't stress enough, is just it depends on how you pay yourself. So it will vary from director to director. You might have someone who's taken home quite a large salary, but it all depends on your PAYE salary, because that's where you're going to make the savings. So when you're actually getting a quote, you need to sort of give your PAYE as your salary as to where you're going to make the tax savings. So in short, directors, yes, it will vary on how much you're going to save.
Right, thank you. And then just one last thing from me. If I had a client that I spoke to this afternoon and they said, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, and I put them in touch with you, and it takes 2 weeks for them to take up the offer and get registered with you, and then one of their staff tomorrow or in 2 weeks says, I'd like a car, how quick would they get that car?
It all depends on the car. If someone says, so they'll have access to like a vehicle ordering specialist team will be able to help them. If someone says, I need a car today, we will have cars available. There's about 60 different pure electric cars within the UK market. If you needed one today, there might only be 5 or 6 of those available. So the quickest turnaround would be 2 weeks. If someone said, I need a car today and we've got it, they could have it in 2 weeks' time. If there's a specific car they wanted, say it was a particular Audi and there was a longer lead time, it could well be 6 or 7 months on some of the longer lead times.
Right, okay. Thank you. Anybody else got anything else? No? Right, I'm going to move swiftly on then, Tom, but thank you very much for that.
No problem.
I've got a bit of a busy morning this morning. So next we're going to go to Jill Poet from the Organisation for Responsible Businesses, another one of our member benefits. Jill is a soon-to-be published author of It Really Is Just Good Business, The Art of Operating a Reasonable, Ethical and Profitable Small Business, available for pre-order from Amazon. And Jill will be talking about what responsible business means for a small business. And I think Jill has been on before. And I have met Jill, but there she is. Hi, Jill, you all right?
I'm good, thank you. Shall I put my screen up?
Yeah, please, if it'll let you.
Well, fingers, oh, look, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
From the beginning. There we are. Right, okay. Thank you for that lovely introduction and talking about my book. I needn't have mentioned it in my slides, need I?
No.
So ESG for small businesses. ESG is sort of a new kid on the block, really, in terms of mainstream business, and especially for small businesses. So today I'm going to look at what ESG is and why it's important. It stands, as most of you will know, for environmental, social and governance. I always think the social bit is a bit odd because as soon as I read social, I sort of think of social media. I personally think it should be called societal, but there you are. Who am I to say? That's what it's known as. So in terms of environment, very importantly, it's everything relating to the environment, not just net zero. There's such a huge push for net zero, which of course is really, really important. but it tends to help people forget about all the other aspects that we should care about plastics, about landfill, waste in general, about biodiversity. You know, there's a huge gamut of stuff. So it embraces everything relating to the environment. Social is about people, and that's people in your workplace, your local community, wider society, your suppliers, your customers, really anybody that your business is going to touch in any way. And sometimes you'll have direct relations, but often you might never know those people. So it could be people in the supply chain. So all that's really important. And governance, of course. And as accountants, you guys are well versed in governance. I quite like this quote though. There's no one defined definition of governance, as in most of these things. But this one, a lot of it talks about corporate governance, and the language is very different. But I quite like this. It says governance encompasses the system by which an organisation is controlled and operates. And the sorry, I can't speak today, put my teeth in. And the mechanisms by which it and its people are held to account. That's particularly important in the corporate world, by which its people are held to account. And we see quite a lot of that with directors. That's not to say it's not important with small businesses as well. Of course it is. Ethics, risk management, compliance, and administration are all elements of governance. So as an accountant, you deal with certain aspects, but obviously not this whole gamut. I think that's a really, really good definition that puts it in perspective. I'm going to look at the history of ESG, not because I'm a history buff, but there is a relevance. So the term first became popular in 2004 in a report called Who Cares Wins. And just the name of that report itself is important, because it's saying immediately, if you care as a business about people and the environment, about your ethics, about the values and how you work, you're going to win. Now, in this context, it's talking about finances. It was a joint initiative of financial institutions at the invitation of the UN. And the UN Principle for Responsible Investment requires ESG criteria to be incorporated into financial evaluations of companies. It's not a legal requirement, but that's what this whole process, ESG, was about in those early days. Increasingly low, major institutional investors are making it clear they expect companies to hold ESG. And if we're talking about major institutional investors, we are talking about millions. So it's beginning to show how important this is, and still very much at this stage in the corporate world. So it has been driven by investment criteria and linked with measurement and reporting metrics. But in the last 2 years, it has gained huge traction. And it's seen by many as a more robust approach to CSR. CSR, like so many of these things, is great in principle, but often not used properly. And we've all seen it in the corporate world, where they use CSR as these lovely, shiny projects that are doing stuff, you know, externally, and yet they haven't even conversed with their employees, got them involved, not caring about what the employees think or their well-being. So this ESG is meant to be a much broader approach, and much better, much more robust. But why did it start life as a financial investment initiative? Why did the major institutional investors care? Has anyone got any thoughts on that? Would you like to put your responses in chat? Because this is really quite important. Why should those big investors care? Any thoughts, anyone? Of why this was a major issue? We're talking about, you know, nearly 20 years ago now. No comments?
No, it's all very quiet this morning, Jill.
All very quiet. Okay. Oh,
No, just me and you.
there you go. It's all about risk. That's why. It's all about risk. It's all about reputation. Because by implementing ESG standards authentically, it means they're not going to get caught out with bribery claims when they're dealing with particularly third world. Supply chain issues, such as child labour, poor working conditions, whistleblowing. If they're working properly, if they're doing all these things right, it reduces the risk. And we all know with a big corporation, if they're hit with any of these claims, the risk that damages their reputation, the value of the company, their shares fall overnight. So it's really, really important. So it makes absolutely sense why it started off as a financial investment initiative. But we're still talking about big companies. So why is it important for accountants and their clients? Why is ESG important for all businesses? And look, there it is. There's my book. There's the cover of the book. Unashamedly promoting that, because it really is just good business. Because you need to embrace all these aspects to ensure that your reputation isn't damaged. And even more positively than that, in today's society, your customers, your clients, whether that's consumer, private sector or public sector, they all want to know that you are caring about people, caring about the environment, and you have good governance in place. And governance is equally important for small businesses as it is for big businesses, the big corporates. It's slightly different, but nonetheless, it's the way you operate. It's the art of operating a responsible, ethical, and obviously profitable small business. So it is absolutely relevant to all those businesses. So how does all fit in with this whole ESG conversation and obviously as a benefit to the members? Well, interestingly, what we do is really all about ESG, although I hadn't heard of the term when we launched in 2010. And as I say, it's only really become mainstream in recent years. But this is a definition of a responsible business. This has been the definition since we launched, and the approach that we take in everything that we do. So it's a very, very holistic approach. So to us, a responsible business operates efficiently and ethically. It meets and exceeds legislation and always considers its impact on people and the environment. So you've got that people and environment aspect, but actually, obviously you need to operate ethically, but you need to operate efficiently as well. If you're not operating efficiently, you're not really a responsible business, because things are going to slip through the net. You're going to have problems. Things aren't going to get done. You're not going to be filing your returns or getting your stuff to your accountant or getting the work done for your client in a timely fashion. And you need to meet, but it needs to be, efficient of a system for your business, not necessarily, anything complex like an ISO, for example, but even as a very tiny sole proprietor has to have systems. They need to operate efficiently. So that's part of governance. Need to meet, we say exceed, but you certainly need to meet legislation in terms of good governance. So although we didn't call it ESG, that's what it is. That's what's absolutely integral to our whole approach to what a responsible business is. And what we do, our passion is micro and small businesses. So everything that we do is designed to be appropriate for those small businesses. So how can we help you through the member benefits? The starting point is membership of all, for anyone that might be interested. It's a point where you can actually say, yes, I am a business, I operate ethically, and obviously as accountants, you sign of you adhere to a code of ethics. But more important than just operating ethically, it's actually a very funny word, ethics. It's more proactive than that. It is about caring about people and the environment, as well as all those good governance aspects. So if you're interested in becoming a member, it is a 3-stage process application. We don't like tick box approaches where you pay your money, you want to become a member, and you've got a logo. Doesn't work for us. So we've always had an application process. It starts with a little self-assessment online questionnaire. Take about 10 or 15 minutes. You can actually do that without any cost or any commitment to become a member. And it's quite a thought-provoking process. So even if membership doesn't appeal to you, I would recommend you do that. As I say, 10, 15 minutes, and it will just trigger a few thoughts about where you are at the moment and maybe things that you need to do a bit better on. You have to commit to our members pledge, which I'll show you in the next slide. And then we'll have a Zoom meeting. It will be with me or one of our colleagues. And normally it's a great part of my day talking to like-minded people. But I will dig down to make sure values are aligned, because it's no good saying, I'll think about that stuff later. We're not expecting everyone to be doing everything. We have got members that they've really got all this stuff embedded into what we do. We have also got members that have had a light bulb moment, have been successful companies for many years, but they've suddenly had this light bulb moment where they've gone, we are not doing enough, we want to do more. And they're on the first stage of that ladder, and that's fine. It's about those core values being at the heart of what you're doing, and it's about that development. This is the members pledge. So if you feel you can make this pledge, then I'd love you to consider applying for membership. If you can't, then obviously it's not going to be for you. So you're going to operate in an honest and ethical manner. I'm sure you all do that. It's important to consider the people environment we're making business decisions, and actually about proactively making a positive contribution to society. And that doesn't just mean employing people. But you might want to take it to the next level. You might want something really, really robust, and we can help with that as well. We actually have responsible business standard certification that will now say is ESG for small businesses. We launched that in 2011. So again, it's been around for a long time. It embraces the workplace, the environment, the marketplace. So suppliers, customers, your local community in that philanthropic approach, but not about money, more about getting involved. Ethics and values and transparency, how you communicate that internally and externally with all your stakeholders. And I like to touch on business process and business continuity. And in each area as appropriate, it covers legislation and best practice. So you can see when we've looked at ESG, how that absolutely resonates with all of that. So the responsible business standard, that's our certification, our top level. It's a really robust process, and it starts with the course. And the course is worth doing on its own. It is a big course. It's an online course. Sam is actually working through it at the moment, but she's very busy and she gets started and then she gets sort of stuck a bit with it. But this is a testimonial I had from someone literally just this morning on LinkedIn. She's working her way through it, doing exactly what it was intended to do. Slow down, consider each point and work on the implementation. The course is designed to get you to think about where you are in your business on each aspect, each question that we ask. It's not giving you a one-size-fits-all benchmark that you need to adhere to, because every business is different, especially with micro and small businesses. So we don't do this one-size-fits-all. It's not appropriate. And similarly, in the actual certification process, it's open questions, and our auditors are trained to look at it in an approach that we call ASTI, appropriate to size, type and impact of the business. So you could have two businesses of different types, different sizes that give us a similar response, but the scoring will be different in terms of what you'd expect for that particular business. So our offer to IAB members, some of this is being changed in terms of not so much the offer itself, but the content of the offer. So in terms of membership, there's a 20% discount on membership. Our membership starts at only £75 a year for sole proprietors. So that brings it down to £60. So really, really affordable. And it is also that affordability that means that we do this check-in process to make sure that we have got the right people as members. There's 20% discount on that course. You don't really need that because it's only £15 a year in the first place. But nonetheless, it's part of the offering. The course is, even if you don't want to do anything else, the course is absolutely worth your while doing. People ask me how long it takes, and it's a bit how long is a piece of string, because if you are very well developed on all these aspects, you'll probably go through it quite quickly. Yes, I've done that. I've got it embedded. I know I'm doing that. If you're sort of quite early stage, you're going to be stopping, you're going to be thinking about it. I want you to think about it because it's really important. It's not about bits of paper and policies. It's about being authentic and can you improve what you should be doing. So it's a really good process, but it is a big process. We are going to introduce a course facilitation option, which will probably be about £95 for 2 hours broken down into 20-minute sections. That's not consultancy. It's just to have someone that you're answerable to. So you could maybe commit to go through the course in a month, couple of months, really fast track it and work towards certification. We've got lots of consultant auditors if you feel you want to work with something else, but that's just to help you and to have someone that you're committed to say, I'm going to do X next week, and you have to do it before you have the call. So it's not on the site yet, but that will be there. 20% discount on CPD options. We have got an option on the site at the moment. It's for 20 hours CPD. And we thought everyone would go, oh, that's great, we can do our 20 hours. But actually, I know we're all busy. And IAB accountants, like everyone else, wants to break it down into small sections. So that is being changed, but you will get that option. If you visit the membership offering and register on our newsletter, we can keep you up to date with the changes. And obviously you've got access to that. That's our site you can go straight to if you want to.
That's excellent. Thank you, Jill. And we're back to your book, nice and neatly. Has anybody got any questions for Jill? The chats lately on these, they've gone really quiet. But no, I've got no questions for you, Jill.
Oh, goodness me.
So I'm going to swiftly move on to HMRC updates, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jill. So updates from HMRC, because Sarah, as I'm sure you've already noticed, is away. Lucky thing. So updates from HMRC from the 16th of December, so next month, HMRC will no longer issue paper repayment notifications for self-assessment or corporation tax. So please can you remember to check your agent online accounts or ask your clients to check theirs. And also time to pay. Self-assessment customers can contact HMRC direct and ask about time to pay arrangements. A monthly repayment plan for anybody having difficulty paying their tax bill in full by the 31st of January. HMRC are encouraging everyone to file their tax returns early, as I'm sure everybody else is attempting to. I know I am, but not with much luck. Anyway, moving on. Cost of living payments. Customers that receive both tax credits and other eligible DWP benefits, such as income support, will receive their second cost of living payment automatically between the 8th and 23rd of November. So there's no need to apply for that. And finally, the national minimum wage, the national living and minimum wage increased on the 1st of April 2022. I'm sure it will again next year. but they've now developed a national living and minimum wage stakeholder toolkit to help make sure that employers and workers are aware of the annual increase and to ensure workers know what to do if they're not being paid correctly. Now, our next coffee morning is bizarrely, I don't know, is in December. Sam, do you know what date it is in December? I'll just unmute you.
It's the 14th.
The 14th, sorry, on my notes I've got January's written down. So our next coffee morning will be the 14th of December, and I'm requesting everybody wears Christmas jumpers, as I'm sure we all will anyway in December.
Yeah.
And then finally, on a more somber note, I'm going to play George's video. Well, I'm going to try to. So if you bear with me while I share my screen. Oh, right, share. So I'm now sharing my screen, and hopefully you can see a video of George. Can everybody see him? Sam, can you see George?
Yeah, can see him.
Yeah, excellent. Right, so here's George.
I don't know if you've got sound there, Caroline. Hmm. Any sound, Caroline?
Yeah.
Oh, is anyone else hearing it? I'm not hearing it.
No.
Can everybody hear it?
No.
No, no sound.
No, sorry.
Have you got it on your computer, Sam? Can you?
I can try. 1 second. I'll just try and get it up 1 second. Sorry.
Move that. That volume's on full. Should I try it again?
Yeah, try it again. No, nothing's happening.
No?
No. I can try it on mine.
Yeah, try it on yours.
Hold on.
Sorry, everybody.
Can I share my screen? I'm trying to see which one it is.
Yep, I've got your screen up now. Few technical issues this morning.
See where, sorry, George is. It's not the right video. Sorry, everybody. And we may have to send it round. That's the, no.
Do you want me
No.
to email you mine?
I don't know whether it will, should be on there, the first video, shouldn't it? Just goes through to.
I do love technical.
That's it, isn't it?
This is Gold Beach, where I actually landed. D-Day. I can
Wanna hear that?
I can hear that, yeah.
the landing craft on the Davits. And
I
when
can't
we
see it though.
Oh,
4 miles, 5 miles offshore.
hold on. Let's go to Zoom. Oh.
Just while you're doing that, Sam, I'm just going to go back to the chat. So Joe said, thank you, everyone. And Eva said, I read a couple of articles that when business struggle, like now, many tend to focus less on ESG, which is sad, of course. I don't know if it's the truth. I just read it online. So businesses, I think she means. And then everybody's telling me that they can't hear. And then Jill's replies to Eva, it's rather like training and marketing. They are always the first aspects to suffer when businesses struggle, and yet they are more important than ever. Businesses need to be authentic, of course, but the business benefits of embracing ESG are enormous and becoming more important on an ongoing basis. Sharing the business case is essential. And then Joyce has put, thanks everyone, great meeting. I need to go, take care. Eva's put, yes, Jill, totally, thank you. Angie's put, thank you to the three speakers. It was a very interesting session. Right, Sam, how are we doing with our video?
I'm probably worst on Zoom than I've ever been on anything. So
I think there's something wrong with the speakers on my laptop.
can you see it now? No.
No. Are you sharing your screen?
I am, but it's because I've got two screens, it's really confusing. That's not working either.
No.
We were lined up, you have a small service and then a bite to eat if you want it, which was brilliant.
That's a shame because I can hear you, but I can't see it. I can see it now.
And all the
Full
landing craft
screen?
went round in a circle.
No, if you make the video bigger though, in the bottom, that's it.
And you just in the water and then you take off to get to across the beach.
Can we start from the beginning again?
I can. Sorry, everyone.
This is
Right.
Golden, where I actually landed on D-Day. I actually came over on landing ship infantry with the landing craft on the davits. And when we were about 5 miles offshore, we were lined up, you have a small service and then a bite to eat if you want it, which was bread and cheese. Then you're on the landing craft. Away you went, and all the landing craft went round in a circle and they lined up and came into the beach. The front goes down and you just in the water and then you take off to get to across the beach as much as you can. When I first muted this idea, I was told I was mad, I'd never get anywhere, which makes you more determined. It's a beautiful sight, and on a sunny day and a high tide, you'll never see anything better. We're in their 90s, chatting to people, and they will call us heroes. We're not heroes. We're the ones who lived. The heroes are the ones who left behind. I do hope that people really take this to heart. It's really a legacy for every Normandy vet, and especially those we left behind. And when it's finished, I hope I'm allowed to see it. I'll be able to die happy, quite frankly. At last, we've got it built. Seeing this, it really brings it home. And I'm doing my damnedest not to get emotional about it. That is an incredible sculpture. And I think typifies what it was like coming out, getting off the landing craft and charging up the beach. I'm delighted with the result. To see it now in the form that it's in, it's beyond belief and beyond my dreams. I never thought it would be like this, but I'm so delighted it is. It's a thing that we can be proud of. I hope and pray that future generations will come here. I can visualize on Remembrance Days in the future, the whole of this being covered with wreaths and flowers, rather like it is at the Cenotaph in Whitehall, Remembrance. And that's got to be the word of the future, I think. Please remember.
Well, it's a really emotional video, isn't it?
It's poignant, isn't it?
But I think it's really good for everyone to see. I know Sarah was keen for everyone to see it in terms of all of the contributions that everybody made, really helped make it a reality, and he was aware of that. So
Yeah.
thank you, everybody. There was
Yeah.
2 videos running concurrently there, but I hope you got the gist of it.
Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties. There's always something.
There would be something, but thank you everyone for your patience.
But yeah, right. And on that, a couple of things in the chat. Marianne's put, thanks for a very informative meeting. Plenty of food for thought. Angie said that was lovely. Tricia, thank you. Well worth watching. And Eva said thank you as well. So yeah, I think it took us a while to get there, but it was worth getting there, I think, this morning. So on that, I think we're going to close the meeting down. So thank you very much for attending, and hope to see you all on December the 14th.
Yeah, see you for Christmas, the Christmas edition.
Yeah, Christmas jumper time. All right.
Bye everyone.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.